His Excellency the President, against the Secretary General of the ruling party, against the Minister of Home Affairs, against myself, and against Mr. Kaiser's political advisor. The basis of their allegations were simply that a militia unit exists and commanded by the President and funded by the President and ourselves. The first response is that we strongly reject those accusations as totally false, containing no bearing of truth whatsoever. The reason we say they are desperately dangerous is that it appears there is no stop how far, there is no limit how far the opposition leader, Mr. Kainde Hichilema, will go. There is no limit for him in his pursuit for the president. That he would actually, he would rather damage and destroy the country in order to ruin it. To consciously manufacture lies and give them to his shadow, Mr. Mirupi, and broadcast them in the manner they did, knowing too well that it is false, is extremely shameful. But we know why they are doing that. It's that in the past, it has become very fashionable for the opposition to lie into the international media space. And because there is a decent government focused on running affairs of the state in a manner that you think it must be run, we have normally ignored such scurrilous allegations. But if they were not so serious, these allegations would actually be laughable. But the allegations are so serious that they require a formal response. And they require a formal response in a manner that a decent government operates. One, the opposition cannot be entertained at the ICC. It is quite clear that they have not familiarized themselves with the Rome Statute that governs the ICC. The jurisdiction of that court, correctly, is criminal, yes. But only state parties can be heard at the ICC. So those desperate, dangerously desperate men who paraded themselves at the Intercontinental Hotel, none of them can be entertained at the ICC. Having said that, their behavior is like that of a foolish heads boy who shouts woof woof. Woof woof. One time they go, the people to help him defend the cows come and they don't find the wolf, they don't find the lion. Second time they find the woof woof. The third time when these foolish heads boys shouted woof woof and the lion had come and no one from the village responded, we are asking the ICC ourselves to come. We are asking the international human rights bodies such as Amnesty International, the Human Rights Commission, which is why I called him, because the President told me that through the Human Rights Commission, this information can officially go to Amnesty, that they can come to examine the allegations that are made. But because these foolish opposition leaders do not have the jurisdiction to be heard before the ICC, we are going to do it for them by asking the ICC to come and examine these allegations. To this effect, Minister Rubinda is under instruction from the President to formally communicate to the ICC. The reason we are putting this up front and into the international media is to clearly demonstrate that when dangerously desperate opposition leaders begin even to connive with rogue elements within the police, the international human rights regime must be able to stand up. It is not, and I can tell you, in their limited understanding of the jurisdiction of the ICC, they think the ICC was created to indict members of the government. They must just read beyond and say that it has indicted opposition leaders elsewhere. So if the idea is to cry woof woof, be careful what you wish for. But we are coming clean on this one. There is no militia under the command of the President. There is no funding of any vigilante group from State House and from government. To the contrary, there is an official statement from the spokesperson for Mr. Kainde, Honorable Cornelius Moi, categorically stating that the 4 police officers that have been disciplined are not the ones that were in charge of the policing operations in Sesheke. Mr. Muitu and Mr. Kainde seems to know exactly how the police was commanded in Sesheke. One, they were able to see how bullets were fired at him for 8 hours in the dense thick forest. They were able to pick the cartridges and exactly tell that this bullet came from this gun. Can these people now tell the police how they have gone to the ballistic examination and arrive at a very firm conclusion that they are arriving at? After the opposition leader cries wolf that he was shot at, and he was very clear at by the police, then a quick inquiry is undertaken by Honorable Kampyongo and his team, and they arrive at whatever the decision they arrive at. They have retired the police command in charge of the operation in Sesheke. Mr. Kainde wants those police officers reinstated. He seems to know exactly which police officer was shooting at him and who was not shooting at him. Can he provide evidence now how he has this organic knowledge about how the police operation was done in Sesheke? Can we have a correlation between the police van that was driving, you saw the video that went viral, and the sporadic gunfire of automatic weapons? There is nothing. When you fire an automatic rifle from a police van that you saw, you will see the smoke there. There is no gunfire coming out of the police van, but you could hear the sound of gunfire. Did Mr. Kainde stage this incident again? And he doesn't seem to learn from events of the past, it does appear. But to clearly bring all these things to clear examination, can the Human Rights Commission now begin an investigation? Can they invite the Amnesty International? We are going to invite them, but we want that invitation to be verified, to be backed up by the local human rights body. There is nothing to hide whatsoever. The inquiry Honorable Kampyongo is conducting in police handling of election is not partisan, it's above board. If the people in the pictures of people that were brutalized by the police are PF people, and PF people do not have human rights, can Mr. Mirupi tell us, Mr. Ichlema tell us, whether the human rights of those PF members don't count? Because what we have seen ourselves, unless there are any other videos we have not seen, what we have seen are pictures of PF members who were beaten by the police. Whether those police were PF or UPND, it's irrelevant. Police beat up a human being in the manner they should not have. An inquiry has been undertaken and disciplinary action has been undertaken, and there is a big protest from the opposition UPND, which seems to know which police officer was actually in charge. Not those four. They know who else. Can the names of those police officers be made forward before the law enforcement agencies and before the international human rights regime? That is one. As for Charles Mirupi, in my personal capacity and also as a state officer, you'll be hearing from my lawyers pretty soon. I also know that both civil and criminal proceedings may be brought against him. We do not know under any legal terms the opposition alliance. It's a formless and headless grouping of people just desperate to get power. So there can be no legal suit brought against such a formless agent. It has no legal personality. So Mr. Mirupi, who we saw in the video, will be hearing from my lawyers pretty soon. They will bring both civil and criminal proceedings against him. If Mr. Kainde spoke, we know he's a leader of the UPND, but we don't know what Mr. Mirupi has. But he's an opposition alliance, so-called opposition alliance spokesperson. So in his personal capacity, civil and criminal proceedings will be instituted against him. The Zambian people must learn that every action must have consequences. Every word you say must mean something. You can't just go on the platform and accuse other people of doing something. I was not in the country during the Sesheke by-election. I've never, in all my life, I've never been to Sesheke. How can I command a militia in a district that I don't even know how it looks? I've never been. I was not on the campaign. But even those that were performing duties in there, like Mr. Zulu, Mr. Kampyongo. Mr. Kampyongo commands the police force as a political head of Home Affairs. There are police commanders in there who answer to him. He does not command the militia. The Home Affairs has executive powers to deploy police He's responsible for VIP protection, and he's also responsible for the safety and protection of every citizen. So if he's in Sesheke, it is reckless for anybody to accuse the Minister of Home Affairs of commanding a militia. But since they know the existence of this militia, it is of great interest to the International Criminal Court for Charles Mirupi to tell them who these are. It is of great interest. I know Mr. Kainde is a clever man. He was cheering on this senseless man making those allegations without recourse to the consequences of his words. So those are the steps that have been taken. But just in summary, is to state that there is no element of truth whatsoever. Amnesty International is being called in. The Human Rights Commission, which has begun to work on its own, is being urged to take greater interest in this matter. The ICC is being invited officially through the auspices of the Minister of Justice, because only he acts for Zambia in relation to ICC. I can tell you for a fact the opposition leaders have not familiarized themselves with the Rome Statute that creates the ICC. But we know that they can't even file. Their mission is over. On the 20th, they addressed a press conference, malign individuals. The effect is calculated, obviously, to rattle the markets, undermine investor confidence. If there is a militia in Zambia, that's not a country to invest in. Their job is done. We know they won't even go to the ICC, but we are asking the ICC ourselves, in case they thought it was a matter of joke, this has to be done. This is a message I wanted to give you. The President is extremely committed to peaceful campaigns. He has ordered his party to get into Bahati and wherever there are by-elections to campaign peacefully, defending their rights as a political party and campaigning for the prosperity of this country and to avoid all elements of violence. But he's also urging the police to get tough with anybody, any elements that propagates violence. And the police must not look at the color green, red or white. Anybody who perpetrates violence, the Inspector General of Police is under strict instruction to get tough with any form of violence. So it is extremely preposterous and mischievous for Charles Mirupi to say the kind of things that he said. But he will be held to account in his personal capacity, and then if he has masters behind him, he will tell us whether he was speaking for any other masters. I'll take questions. Thank you very much. Yes, Stuart.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chanda. Since this is the first time we're meeting in 2019, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Series of questions from your announcements, Mr. Chanda. First and foremost, can you confirm on the allegations of live ammunition that were purportedly used by the Zambia Police Service in Cheshire constituency are patently false? Secondly, when are we to expect the team from the International Criminal Court into the country, and also the team from Amnesty International for starters?
We have invited them. We can't bully them. We are not like those opposition bullies. If we invite them and they think there is merit to come, they'll come. We can't dictate their timetable. Unlike Brian Mwinga and Mr. Kainde, I'm not a ballistic expert to know that this bullet came from this. So they know. The ICC investigators will take an interest to see whether those cartridges were actually from the police. What I can tell you, what I saw, is that I saw a police van speeding, and I did not see a gun fired from it.
So there was no live ammunition that was used?
I did not see any gunfire from the van that was purported to be shooting at him. You know, lies and gimmicks have no sustainability. You cannot tell, and you see, to sustain one lie, you must tell another. You don't know where it ends. Did you, Stuart, see any live ammunition coming from that police van? We all know when you fire a gun, they smoke. If they were silent guns, then the sound would not have been heard. All I can confirm is that I did not see live ammunition coming from that van, but I could hear gunshot, which I suspect could only have come from these people with specific knowledge of who shot, what they were shooting at, and the actual cartridges after shooting. We've seen the criminality of the UPND before, but because the matters are under inquest, I can't tell you. But all I can tell you is that there was a demonstration coming from the UPND secretariat, going through town. It was stopped by the police. It went through town. There's a video of Mapenzi being shown alive, being shown running, being shown being shot, and being shown in the mortuary. Who is this person who knew from Provident House that this woman was going to be shot at some stage, and therefore focused on it? The state is not stupid. It's not as stupid as they are. But this matter is under inquest. Who is this UPND cameraman who photographed Mapenzi at Provident House on Cairo Road, in Chawama, when she's being resuscitated, when she is in the mortuary? Who is this person? Gimmicks and theatrics have their own limits. So I can only extrapolate that if you told me that that State House vehicle, alleged State House vehicle, that green van, was where the bullets were coming from, only if you had prior knowledge of what was going to happen would you be so certain. And here it is, Mr. Mwetwa, afterwards, as stated clearly, those are not the police officers who shot. Can you go and ask Mwetwa whether those were live? But I will not go into the details whether there was live ammunition or not. But if there were live ammunition, why are you protesting about the disciplinary action that has been taken against people the police command suspected used live ammunition? So that is a matter for the UPND police to answer. It appears they have very clear knowledge of police operations.
Are you suggesting, Mr. Chanda, that the Zambia police service has been infiltrated by the opposition UPND?
The opposition is speaking for the police. I'm not even supposed to suggest. It's in the public domain. They will be reinstated because they are innocent, and they were maintaining law and order. Just 2 days after shooting at him, they were maintaining law and order. For 8 hours, he was ducking bullets. You know, Sesheke is 5 kilometers from Katimamulilo. So if he was running towards, in the westwards, he would have been in Katimamulilo and probably into the Atlantic Ocean for 8 hours. If he was coming backwards, he would have bypassed Livingstone and ended up in Nyimba. To be able to drive for 8 hours and not, if he was coming eastwards, he would pass Livingstone, which is 190 kilometers. He would pass Lusaka and probably be at Nyimba. If he went westwards, he would be in Katimamulilo. It's 5 kilometers. But if he pursued him inside Namibia, he would probably end up in the ocean. All these were statements from the UPND. But because they have gotten used to lying and without the response, they actually think the nation is as dumb as they are. No. The government is much more sophisticated than those cheap tactics. So I'm not suggesting anything.
Okay.
I'm just commenting on the official statements issued by the opposition leader, confirmed by his spokesperson, confirmed by the national chairman, Mutare Rumanga. There was no violence whatsoever. That is Honorable Mutare Rumanga. At a press conference, there was no violence. Then all of a sudden there is an escalation of violence, and the UPND know exactly which police officer caused violence and which one did not. And then the human rights of the PF members who were beaten don't count in the human rights discourse of the UPND. They don't count. One of the persons named to be taken to the ICC is actually the victim. One of them, Muchema, I saw those pictures. I can identify him clearly, his PF member. He's been sent to the ICC for being beaten. And none of these rogue opposition, rogue elements can be said to be the victims. Actually, Muchema and others should be reporting these rogue elements to the ICC, not themselves. It's typical of crooked people on Cairo Road. When you are not seeing you, the pickpocket gets, he runs across, then comes out, thief. Then an innocent person is stolen. These are the cheap tactics of these rogue opposition elements. But people can sift, or at least we can sift. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chanda. When is the Minister of Justice expected to channel that formal invitation to the ICC?
Presidential instructions are very clear. When you are instructed, it's immediate.
Then secondly, The UPND also alleged that had the police brutalized the UPND cadres, perhaps they could have not met the same fate. What's your reaction?
The UPND seems to know exactly how rogue elements in the police operate. Here we are talking about 4 clearly visible individuals beaten and with wounds, some of them like sharp object wounds. And the police have not denied they didn't beat those people. The UPND is denying. So the police has reacted to unprofessional conduct. The Minister of Home Affairs was on the floor of the House. No minister from the front bench lies on the floor of the House. The police that have been disciplined participated in partisan politics. So if in the judgment of the UPND leaders there should be no action when PF people are beaten, that's a matter we can leave for whenever they will come into government. That kind of nonsense is not anywhere in the way this government is run. That's not how we run government. Yes.
Yes. Focusing our attention on Mr. Charles Lungu, the Opposition Alliance spokesperson, you clearly said that he should be expecting civil and criminal proceedings in the next few days. I'm just curious, Mr. Chanda, on what specific grounds are you able to disclose what those proceedings will be? Because Mr. Lungu says quite categorically that he has pictorial evidence of violence that actually...
He has pictorial evidence of me being in Sesheke when I've never been to Sesheke in all my life.
Not necessarily you, Mr. Chanda.
The civil and criminal proceedings relate to the blatant blue lies he has told about me.
So it's defamation of character.
Look, there will be civil and criminal proceedings. My lawyers, that's why I said they will be hearing from my lawyers pretty soon. It's not just defamation of character. My lawyers have examined the footage and they have seen criminal and civil liability in his reckless statements.
And then given the fact that we seem to be in a very toxic political climate where there isn't much dialogue going on, where does this leave
you can't talk, you can't engage in dialogue with rogue elements. A government has been elected with a clear mandate within the provisions of the Constitution. The president will carry on with business of governing, and he cannot be bullied to go into a table with people whose brain is the size of a rat. He cannot be bullied into a conversation with people like that. So on the same table with a whole criminal, what sort of dialogue can take place?
So the prospects of the national dialogue is looking good.
Honorable Ruvinda has issued a statement in Parliament today. We've waited all along to bring the Constitutional Bill, Public Order Act to the dialogue table. You are not going to govern from outside. The bills will be presented to Parliament. The President will continue to govern. He has executive powers. Where criminal elements begins to try and disrupt law and order, the law will take its course. The President can govern without those rogue elements.
And if we turn our attention to Bahati, the upcoming by-election, are you able, as the presidency, to confirm safety and security of voters in that precinct?
The President has ordered the police to tolerate no form of violence whatsoever from any quarters. Whether the rogue elements in the police or UPND, the law will take its course. So there will be no entertainment of any form of violence whatsoever. Anything more? If not,
just on the Local Human Rights Commission, have they started investigations? How far have you gone?
Oh, it's for him.
Yes.
If he wants to take it, he can. Feel free.
I'm reluctant to comment. I don't want to be seen as a joint president.
Yeah, we call him as an observer.
Yeah. I can tell you that we have concluded our own reports. Maybe in 2-3 days. We are not about to start. We have concluded. Yeah.
That's it. Thank you very much.